welcome to another video episode of my podcast. My name is Cheryl, and this is Cappuccino Crafts, my little channel on YouTube, and my corner of the general interwebs where I like to talk about knitting and sometimes crochet and books and TV and movies and other life and general chatty things that I want to share with you. Thank you so much for choosing to watch this video and spend a little bit of your time with me. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you enjoy it. So please settle in, get yourself a delicious beverage, and let's have a lovely visit. Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of progress this week. So let's talk about it. First, I want to talk about my Etta tee. This is a summer t-shirt with a cotton acrylic yarn from Barocco. So it's easy wash and also just breathable and very good for summer. I finished the yoke and I separated the sleeves. Here we go. A left and a right one. Also, after this pattern part was done, the pattern, which was by the Barocco design team, it was designed with this particular yarn in mind, and they did the samples with this Barocco yarn, which is called Summer Sesame. They did some shaping to raise the back a little bit, so there's a true back and front. That just improves the fit. Now, when you're doing a circular yoke, you don't necessarily need to do that extra shaping to raise up the back a little higher than the front, but it does make for a little bit better fit, and also when you're putting it on, it just feels good you can help recognize which part is the front and the back. If you didn't do the shaping, it wouldn't matter. And I have done circular yokes with no extra shaping to raise the back, and it's perfectly an acceptable fit and it works, but I really appreciate this detail and attention to detail by the designers for just that little bit of better fit. And the way you do that is with short rows, which means in this case I was working in the round, so just going round and round and round the circle. When you're doing short rows, you don't complete all the way the whole row. That's why it's a short row. And in this case, I stopped going around and I went back and forth. And that's what raised up the back a little bit. And you can see looking for, yeah, here's the spot. Because this yarn is striping, you can see a little bit where the striping, here's the section where it was back and forth, and there's stripes here, but the stripes aren't the same as the stripes here. It creates that little section. The striping makes it visible. I think you can see it on this side even a little bit better. that's all the crafting. And reading. I finished 2 books and I started 3 again. Yeah. So I was reading 4 books this week. There is a book that I kind of took a pause on while I was starting these 3. I am not abandoning that book, but the other 3 books have a deadline, so I'm prioritizing those. And I'll fit the other book that I didn't have time for this week, I'll fit that in a little bit here, a little bit there when I can, while I try and get those deadline reads done. And I'll explain why they have a deadline when I talk about them. But the books that I finished are Finlay Donovan is Killing It by L. Cosimano. I listened to it as an audio book that I got from my library. And it was such a fun and thrilling, lighthearted thriller romp. I really enjoyed it, and it is the start of a series. I didn't really notice that when I started it, but at the end, they definitely set up that there's going to be something coming up next, a new job, if you will, and they gave a very interesting clue as to what that is going to be about. So that was exciting on the last page, but I did really enjoy this book. Finley. El's the author. The character is Finley. Finley is just chaotic. She lacks common sense, I would say, and makes some really poor decisions. But still, I found myself wanting her to land on her feet and get her stuff together. And she does kind of form a friendship and kind of partnership, if you will, because her friend is also kind of an assistant and partner in crime, I guess. And also kind of encourages Finley to take more risks, which, yeah, Finley doesn't need help. But you still kind of enjoy their friendship, and Vero really does help get her organized and help rein in some of the chaos. So that is a good thing. But yeah, it's just fun and it's tense. The comedy is on point, I think. And like I said last week, Finley is a single mom, recently divorced. And I like how the author dealt with the kids. They weren't ignored, because sometimes, especially if there's action and some dangerous things, oftentimes the children just kind of get shoved in a corner and forgotten about for the rest of the story, except they got introduced and then they're off in a corner and never seen or heard from again. while all the adventure stuff happens. But the kids were not ignored. They weren't shunted away, but they also weren't on page too much. And they weren't like, you know, in the middle of all the danger. But yeah, so I think the kids were in there the right amount, and they did add to the comedy. They were funny kids, and they also, that aspect of her as a mother and the kids, and, you know, touching base with them and keeping track of them, it kept things slightly grounded. I will not say this is a grounded story. It is not realistic at all. But it kept it like maybe 1 foot on the ground, a little bit. And they just kept things a little bit more lighthearted too when they were around. And yeah, so that was good. I also finished Exit Strategy by Martha Wells, and this is the 4th book in the Murderbot Diaries series. And the overall story of the series really, I'd say maybe the first major story arc kind of closes in this novella. And it kind of also sets up some changes and some things for going forward into more story. And it's also a turning point for Murderbot in Murderbot's character development. And we also have a reunion with the team from the first novella that Murderbot was hired in that book to protect. And then, you know, things just went all sideways there. But Murderbot is not a she. Murderbot has no gender. But it reunites with that first team, and it's great to see those characters again. And they need an escape plan. Things have gotten very, very bad again with that corrupt corporation, Grey Chris, and they need to escape. And Murderbot is going to do its best to get them out of it alive. And Murderbot also has lots of freshly downloaded media and all of Murderbot's hacking skills to execute this plan. Well, the entertainment media downloads are not for the plan, but they are important to Murderbot. So yeah, there's more Sanctuary Moon to watch. And yep. So those are the books that I finished. And then I started 3 books. 2 of them are for book clubs, and one of them is for Jane Austen July. In the BookTube world, there is a section of BookTube that has Jane Austen July every July. And so in preparation, I ordered a copy for myself of Emma, this lovely Penguin Clothbound Classics edition, which I really, really like. Because I knew I already know the story, and I know I really enjoyed Jane Austen, so I knew I wanted this to keep. And Emma is another one of the Jane Austens that I have seen 2 different movie adaptations and know the story, but I have never read the book. But I've known the first time I saw the movie Emma, it was the Gwyneth Paltrow and Jeremy Northam. Was he Knightley? I think it was Jeremy Northam. Anyway, that came out in the 90s, and that was the first one that I saw. I watched the 2020 Emma streaming last year during Jane Austen July last year. So, and I love both of those movies. They're both really good, enjoyable movies. And now I'm reading it for myself from the original book. And there's the ribbon bookmark that they give you. I am about 20 some percent of the way through. And I'm enjoying it a lot. Enjoying it so much. Yeah. And the 2 book club books, I have them from the library. I started Pavilion of Women by Pearl S. Buck. This is a classic, and I think it was published in the 1940s, and it is set in China, at a real turning point in Chinese history. And Pearl S. Buck was born and lived for quite a while in China, until I believe they kicked all the foreigners out, and that was when she left with her family. I don't know how old she was. I don't know what year that was, but they came back to the United States. They were a missionary family there, and that's where she was born. So she was born and at least partially raised in China. So she knows a lot about China, and but she is not Chinese. But the main character, Madame Wu, is from a very high class, one of the leading families in her city. And it starts on her 40th birthday. And on Madame Wu's 40th birthday, she decides, and she's planned this quite a while in advance, but traditionally, at least from what I gather in the book and what Madame Wu says in the book, traditionally on the 40th birthday, the matron of the house, they have a very large household. They're a very rich family. And all of the sons and grandchildren live together in this, very large, grand house, and they have a lot of servants. There's and Madame Wu and her husband are, the patriarch and the matriarch, but their kids and all the grandkids and all the servants, I think it's said there's about 60 people altogether in the household. And Madame Wu is very traditional. The next generation is decidedly much less traditional, and but Madame Wu is still holding on to a lot of traditions. And in these family situations, most of the time it's on the 40th birthday, on the woman's 40th birthday, if she is the head of one of these households, on her 40th birthday, it is expected that she step down from the responsibilities of running all the day-to-day household affairs and bills. Madame Wu does all the bills, manages the entire household, and so everybody expects her to step down from that and let one of her daughter-in-laws, the oldest son's daughter-in-law, ascend to take that position and take charge of the household, and she will become retired and enjoy her golden years. Now, 40 seems very, very early to retire for me, but I have to remember that maybe the life expectancy was shorter then. Although it's not like this is medieval China. It's set in the early somewhere in the 1920s or 30s in China, so it's not like life expectancy would be, I don't think super dramatically different. But maybe that was part of the reason. So that's what they expect her to do. She has a different plan. She is going to keep her control and be the ruler of the household still, but she is not going to keep her physical duties to her husband anymore. She wants her body to herself, and she does not want any more children. She's very afraid of having children at her age, which, yeah, I'm assuming I can understand. Medical things weren't what they are now, and it might have been it probably was much more dangerous for a 40-plus woman to be giving birth and going through pregnancy with the state of medicine at the time. So, but she also just really very, very much values her own autonomy, especially over her body, but also over her mind. But she's very, very intelligent. And she always has been, very self-possessed and autonomous in her mind. But now she wants autonomy over her body as well. She wants her freedom from any further pregnancy or child rearing duties. She can enjoy her grandchildren and just have a little more peace. And she tells her husband after the birthday party that there's a wonderful feast at the beginning of the novel, which I really enjoyed. It introduces all the characters and it kind of just describes the feeling of the household very well. But yeah, after her birthday feast and celebration, in private, she tells her husband that this is our last night together, and I'm going to find you a concubine. I want you to take a concubine. You can, have all your physical desires satisfied with her, and I will not be fulfilling that role anymore. I want my freedom. I want my body to myself. And this sets, well, her husband does not like the idea at all. He's like, what? You don't love me? Did you ever love me? I don't want a concubine. I have not been going to the flower house to enjoy, the women there. Why are you doing this? What have I done? And she's like, no, it's not you. You didn't do anything, but I don't want those duties anymore. I don't want children. I don't want to give you children anymore. But you need a second wife now to give you more children and to, please you physically. She's super practical. And anyway, and he's not happy about it. The next day, her sons and the whole entire household is in an uproar. They're like, don't do this. What is going on? And it just really turns the whole household into nobody knows what to think or how to act or what is gonna happen from this. And I have a difficult time understanding Madame Wu, and sometimes I think I get a handle on her, and then she's very complicated woman. And she is very strong, very imperious. And in this household, she is the queen. She is the ruler, the center, and she is such an interesting character, and she's very smart, but I also don't always follow her logic. But it's so interesting, and the tension between the generations, definitely it is exploring this transitional time in China, because now China has opened to the West, and one of the sons married a girl from Shanghai. This daughter-in-law from Shanghai is very, very modern, and she married the most modern thinking and the most open to Western culture and Western ideas So that son and his wife from Shanghai, they are very, very modern. So it's setting up like this kind of the conflicts within this household. You are seeing the conflicts of this transitional time and the conflicts between the generations. And there's also a missionary character that Madame Wu meets with and talks to on occasion. And that is very interesting to see this. She's American, I think, this missionary woman. Maybe British, I'm not sure. But she's a Western foreign Christian missionary. And that character is so interesting. And Mrs. Wu just kind of pities her and doesn't respect her, but she treats her kindly because she feels bad for her, because she's not married and she's in her 30s, and I get the feeling from what people say in the household about her and what Madame Wu thinks that people are kind of polite-ish to her in general in the city, but that she really doesn't get treated that well, and nobody really respects her. But it's so interesting, and the descriptions and the writing style are really lovely. So that is Pavilion of Women. And I already told you. Okay, so there's only one book I haven't talked about yet, and that is another book club book. Books Like Woe and several other YouTubers together have the Swords and Bodice Rippers book club, which there's 4 of them running the book club together now. Books Like Woe, Naughty Librarian, Leanna, I forget her channel name, and Beautifully Bookish Bethany. So the book for that club this month is Year One. And I haven't really been reading the books for their book club, but they picked one this month that I really wanted to read. And so I am going to read it, and then I hope I finish it in time to watch the live stream and participate in the live stream book discussion at the end of the month. But this is Year One by Nora Roberts. It's another pandemic novel. Yeah, I read the opening chapters yesterday. The opening chapters remind me of The Stand, which is not a bad thing. I enjoyed The Stand. I really enjoyed The Stand, and I am liking it so far. I am not very far into it. It's still very early, but this is the very first Nora Roberts book that I have ever read. So we'll see how I like it. And so thank you very much for watching if you have made it all the way till the end. And I hope that you are doing well. I hope that if you're crafting, you're enjoying your crafting. I hope that you're reading some really great books. And I would love to hear about your projects or your reading or movie, TV series recommendations, or any questions that you want to ask. Please leave a comment below. I would love to interact with you there and chat about things or answer a question. But take care, stay hydrated, and talk to you next time. Bye-bye.